Hi students, welcome to our channel. I am Dr. K. Varada Rajkumar, Associate Professor, Department of CSC, AIML, MLR Institute of Technology, Hyderabad. In this session, we will learn about exception handling in Python. Overview of the presentation. So first we see introduction to errors and exceptions in Python. So next we will see common exceptions with examples. After that we see try except blocks for handling errors. Then we will see multiple except blocks for handling different errors. So after that we see the else clause in exception handling, and we will see the finally block and its importance in cleanup, and we see how to raise exceptions manually using raise keyword, and finally we see how to create and using custom exceptions. Outcome of this lecture: at the end of this lecture, students will be able to apply try except else finally blocks in Python and implement exception raising, and so create custom exceptions to make programs robust and user friendly. Introduction. So normally while writing the programs, errors are common in programming. There are two types of errors in Python. One is syntax errors, second one is exceptions. Syntax error means these errors we will found while compiling program. So that means these syntax errors we will detect while compilation. So for example, if you are not following indentation, then it will give some error. So those type of errors, that means if you are not following the rules of a language, then so those errors we call as a syntax errors. So coming to exceptions means errors detected during runtime. That means while executing the programs, if you got any error, those type of errors we call as a exceptions. Exception handling makes programs robust and prevent crashes. So crashes means, so we discuss with one example. So consider this example. Here the execution starts from first instruction, so it prints program started. Then it takes the input from keyboard. For example, if I enter x equals to 2, now y equals to 10 by 2, so it returns 5.0. So 5.0 is assigned to y, so it prints result 5.0 and it prints program ended. So that means here it is successfully executed. For example, if I enter x value as a 0, then what happened? So 10 by 0, this will return error in execution. So this we call as a exception. Okay, that means exception means getting error in execution, so that we call as a exception. Now here if you observe, here we got the error, so the remaining instructions we are unable to execute. This we call as a crash. Okay, so by using exception handling we can write robust programs. Let us see how. Now I execute this program. Here I am entering the number as a 2. Now it prints result 5.0 and program ended. All the instructions are executed successfully. Now if I entered the number is 0, now we got error. What is the error name? 0 division error. So previously it executed, but now because of this input we got the error. This type of errors we will call as exception. Now we see how to overcome these exceptions using exception handling concept in Python. Just here I am using these try except blocks. Now the same program I am executing. Okay, so program started, I enter 2, yes, result 5.0, program ended. Now save. Yeah, now I am entering the number equals to 0. Now it doesn't return any error. It return a message division by 0 is not allowed. After that it executes remaining instructions. Okay, I hope you all are understand. Exception handling makes programs robust and prevent crashes. So what is an exception? Exception means runtime error, we call as a exception. An exception is an unexpected event that interrupts the normal flow of program. So example, so division by 0, file not found, invalid input. So this is the example here. If I give x equals to 5, then it is okay. If I give the input as 0, then we will get division by 0 error, that is exception. If I give x equals to ABC, now we will get invalid input. Sometimes we write the files, sometimes we are handling the files, sometimes file will not found, then we will get another error, so file not found. Okay, common exceptions in Python. So one is 0 division error, means division by 0. So for example, a equals to 10, b equals to 0. If you are trying to perform division operation, then we will get an error. That error we call as a 0 division error. So value error, so invalid data type conversion. Now I want to convert this hello into integer, so it will return an error. What is the type of the error? Value error. Now index error, index out of range. So here I define one list with 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2 are the indexes, but here I am trying to print the index with 5. So the 5 is not in the range, so it return an error, index error. Another common exception is key error. So now, so this is the dictionary with name and age as keys, but here I am trying to print the key of address. Now address not present in the dictionary data, so it returns an error, key error. Okay, so file not found, so file does not exist. Here I am trying to open abc.txt, that is not present in my system, then it returns an error, so file not found error. So type error, so operations on incompatible types. For example, if I perform 5 plus 2, yes, 5 is number, 2 is number, so it returns 7. But sometimes if I try to add 5 plus a, then it is not allowed. Why? These two are not compatible. So here x equals to hello, y equals to 5. Here I am trying to print x plus y, then it return an error, that is the error name is type error. Okay, so these are the common exceptions in Python. So now how to overcome these exceptions means by using try except block. Okay, so try means here in this block we are trying to find exception, we are expecting some exception in that code. That code we will write in try block. So based on the expected exceptions, we can write exception type here. Okay, so now this is the example. So this is the syntax for try except block. So this is the try block. So this is the except block. Now this is the example here. Here x, y. The value of x I am reading from the keyboard. For example, x equals to 5. Now y equals to 10 by 5. So 2.0 is assigned to y and print result 2.0. There is no exception. For example, if I enter 0 here, then so 10 by 0, exception erased. Now this exception is handled by this except block. So now what is the error here? 0 division error. So this except block can handle this error and it prints you cannot divide by 0. So this is the simple try except block. Let us execute this program. Now enter a number. If I enter 5, it will return result 2.0. Yes, it is successfully executed. So same program, if I enter 0, then it display a message you cannot divide by 0. Why? Here we are handling the error exception with except block. If I give instead of number, I try to give letter Q. Now it returns an error, but there is no except block to handle this error, value error. So now we see how to handle multiple errors in Python. So multiple except blocks. A try block can have multiple except clauses. Now in our example, so if I enter the x value 5, then it will print the result. If I enter 0 as input, then it is 0 division error. So this will be the output. If I enter a text, for example ABC, now so this leads to value error. So this except block can handle value error. Other than these two, if any error is happened, then so this last exception block will handle. Okay, so in this way we are going to use multiple except blocks in Python. So let us execute the program. Enter a number. So for example, if I enter 5, now it prints result 2.0. If I enter 0, now this will handle by except 0 division error. So it prints you cannot divide by 0. If I enter A, now it display invalid input, please enter a number. Here the A means it generates a exception called value error. Okay, so in this way we are going to write the programs with multiple except blocks. The else clause. So else clause executed if no exception occurs. If there is no exception in your program, then the else block will be executed. So that means here x equals to 10, we are reading the y value from the keyboard. If I enter y as a 5, then the result will be 2.0, then it prints the result, no exception, so we will print, then we will go to else block. Okay, so it prints else block executed, no error. For example, if I enter y as a 0, then it will raise an exception and we will move to this except 0 division error block. So it prints division by 0, exception occurs, so we never enter into this else block. Okay, so let us execute this program. Now I am giving the input as 5, so it prints 2.0, no exception. So we enter into this else block and print the message else block executed. Okay, let us see another case. Now enter the y value as 0. Now it prints error division by 0. Why? Exception raised and it is handled by except block. Okay, in exception handling we have so finally block also. So finally block means always executed. If the exception raised, then also executed. If the exception not raised, then also this finally block executed. So finally means always it will execute. Okay, so always executed whether the exception occurs or not. So this will useful for cleaning tasks like so closing files, releasing resources. So these type of events we will done with the help of so finally block. So this is the example. So here we are reading the y value. For example, y value is 2, then 2.0 is the result and we print finally block executed. If I enter 0, then exception raised and it prints error division by 0. After this again it prints finally block executed. So that means the finally block always executed whether exception occurs or not. Okay, so let us execute this program. So now I am giving the y value 5. Now it displays the result 2.0. After that it executes finally block. Now we check with 0. I am entering 0. So now also it prints error message division by 0. After that, again it enter into this finally block. Okay. So now we see rising exceptions. We can rise the exception by using the rise keyword. Use rise to throw an exception manually. So for example, so in this try block, I am assigning a value to x. Now, if the value is less than 0, I want to rise. So value error, negative value, not allowed. Now how means? By using the rise keyword. Now, so this rise will rising an error. What is the error name here? Value error, and this is the message. Now here I entered -5. So -5 less than 0, true. So we will rise the error. What is the type of the error? Value error, and the message is negative value not allowed. So it prints error, negative value not allowed. If for example the x value is 5, 5 less than 0, false. So it will print value 5. Okay. So let us execute this program. So run. Now if you observe here, the -5, the value of x is -5, -5 less than 0. So we rise the error. What is the error name? Value error, with the message negative value not allowed. So this will handle by this value error as E. So E is message, the type of the error is value error. So it prints error, negative value not allowed. Okay. So let us change this value of x to 5. Now it prints only value x. Okay. So value 5. In this way, we can raise an exception manually. So now we see custom exceptions, user defined exceptions. So created by inheriting from the exception class. There is exception class in Python. That class we are going to inherit into our custom exception. So useful when enforcing specific rules in application. So for example, if I ask your age, then you can give positive number only. Instead of positive number, if you give -35, then it is treated as error. How? We see. So class negative is error, and it is inherited from exception. Okay, this is the exception class. Predefined class is inherited into your class. What is the class name? Negative is error. Now here we are writing the try block. Is int input of enter your age. If I enter 35, 35 less than 0, false. So we enter into here, your age is 35. Okay. So for example, if I enter -35, -35 less than 0, yes, it is true. So we are raising an exception. What is the exception name? Negative age error, and the message is age cannot be negative. So this will handle by except block. What is the error name? Negative age error as E. So it prints custom error, age cannot be negative. So for example, if I enter instead of -35, if I enter A, so it is value error. So actually we enter a number instead of number. Here we enter a character. So this error we call as a value error. So it prints error. So please enter a valid number. So let us execute this program. So now enter your age. For example, 35. Now your age is 35. No error. If I enter age as a -35, -35. Now what happened? So -35 will raise an error. What is the error name? Negative age error. Now this except block will handle. So it displays custom error, age cannot be negative. So custom error, age cannot be negative. If I enter instead of a number a character A, now it displays error. So please enter a valid number. Okay, I hope you all are understand how to create user defined exceptions in Python. So coming to summary of the session. In this session we will learn about exception handling in Python. Here we see try except block to handle the exceptions, and we discussed about else block. So this else block executes if there is no exception, and we discussed about the finally block. So finally block always executed. So rise, so manually throw exception. So custom exception means user defined exceptions. User will define their own exceptions. Okay, I hope you all are understand exception handling in Python. If you have any doubts, so place your doubts in comment section. I will clarify your doubts. So thank you.